Have you ever imagined saving money for years to visit your dream city, only to lose everything on the second day? Sophia Carter had dreamed of visiting Paris since she was a little girl. For 3 years, she worked hard, saved every dollar she could, and finally booked the trip of a lifetime. When she arrived in Paris, everything seemed perfect. She walked along the beautiful Seine River, admired the Eiffel Tower, and explored the world-famous Louvre Museum. But then something terrible happened. After leaving a cafe near the museum, Sophia reached for her travel pouch and froze. It was gone. Inside the pouch was her passport, her money, her credit cards, everything she needed to continue her journey and return home. Alone in a foreign country, Sophia suddenly found herself trapped in a nightmare. Was it stolen? Would she ever find it again? And how could one lost passport lead her to unexpected friendships and a life-changing lesson about human kindness? Stay with us until the end to discover the surprising twist that changed everything and made this trip unforgettable. Let's begin the story. The Lost Passport in Paris. Chapter 1. The Dream Trip and the Missing Passport. Sophia Carter had spent most of her life dreaming about traveling to Europe. Growing up in a small town called Maple Creek in Oregon, she often sat by her bedroom window with travel magazines spread across her desk. While other children collected comic books or movie posters, Sophia collected pictures of famous cities around the world. She loved looking at photographs of old streets, beautiful buildings, and people from different cultures. Among all those destinations, one city captured her imagination more than any other. Paris. To Sophia, Paris was more than a city. It was a symbol of adventure, history, art, and freedom. Whenever she saw a picture of the Eiffel Tower shining at night or read a story about artists painting along the riverbanks, she imagined herself walking through those same streets. But dreams cost money. After graduating from college, Sophia became an elementary school teacher in Portland. She loved her students, but teaching was not a job that made people rich. Between rent, bills, groceries, and student loans, there was rarely enough money left for international travel. Still, Sophia refused to give up on her dream. Every month, she deposited a small amount of money into a special savings account she called her Paris Fund. Some months she saved $50. Some months she saved only $20. Whenever she wanted to buy something unnecessary, she asked herself a simple question. Do I want this, or do I want Paris? Almost every time, Paris won. For nearly 3 years, Sophia watched her savings slowly grow. Finally, one spring morning, she opened her banking app and smiled. She had enough. That evening, she booked her flight. The moment she clicked the confirmation button, her heart raced with excitement. It was real. After years of dreaming, planning, and saving, she was finally going to Paris. The weeks before the trip passed quickly. Sophia bought a travel guidebook and spent hours reading about famous attractions. She created detailed lists, places to visit, foods to try, photos to take, souvenirs to buy. Her friends laughed when they saw her notebook. "You've planned every minute," her best friend Rachel said. Sophia grinned. "I know. I don't want to waste a single second." The night before her departure, she could barely sleep. She kept checking her suitcase. Passport? Yes. Phone charger? Yes. Travel insurance documents? Yes. Hotel reservation? Yes. Everything seemed perfect. At 3 o'clock in the morning, her alarm rang. Sophia jumped out of bed before it finished ringing. Today was the day. The flight from Portland to Paris was long, but Sophia hardly noticed. She spent most of the journey staring out the window or reading her guidebook. Every hour brought her closer to the city she had dreamed about for so long. When the airplane finally landed at Charles de Gaulle Airport, Sophia felt a wave of excitement wash over her. She had arrived. The airport was busy and crowded. People hurried through the terminals speaking dozens of different languages. Sophia followed the signs, collected her luggage, and joined the line for passport control. A few minutes later, an officer stamped her passport. "Welcome to France." Those words made her smile. Outside the airport, the fresh spring air felt cool and pleasant. Sophia pulled out her phone and called a taxi. As the vehicle drove toward the city centre, she stared through the window like a child seeing the world for the first time. The streets were lined with elegant buildings. Outdoor cafes overflowed with customers. Cyclists moved through traffic with confidence. Flower shops displayed colourful arrangements outside their doors. Everything looked exactly as she had imagined, perhaps even better. Sophia had booked a small hotel in the Latin Quarter, one of Paris's oldest neighborhoods. The building stood on a narrow street filled with bookstores, bakeries, and cafes. Its exterior was covered with climbing ivy. The hotel wasn't luxurious, but it was charming. The receptionist greeted her warmly. "Welcome, Miss Carter." "Thank you," Sophia replied. After checking in, she carried her suitcase upstairs. Her room was small but cozy. A large window overlooked a quiet street below. From the corner of the window, she could even see part of a historic church. Sophia placed her suitcase on the bed and opened the curtains wider. Sunlight filled the room. She smiled. This was exactly what she had hoped for. Although she was tired from traveling, Sophia had no intention of sleeping. She wanted to explore. Immediately. After unpacking her essentials, she placed her passport, some cash, and her credit cards inside a secure travel pouch that hung around her neck beneath her jacket. She had read many travel safety articles online. Most of them recommended keeping important documents close at all times. Sophia intended to follow that advice. Leaving the hotel, she stepped into the lively streets of the Latin Quarter. Everything fascinated her. The smell of fresh bread drifted from nearby bakeries. Street musicians played cheerful melodies. Artists displayed paintings along sidewalks. Students gathered outside cafes, laughing and talking. Sophia wandered for hours without any particular destination. She simply enjoyed being there. Every street seemed beautiful. Every corner felt magical. At one point, she bought a warm chocolate croissant from a bakery. It was the most delicious pastry she had ever tasted. Standing on a sidewalk in Paris while eating a croissant suddenly made her feel as though she had stepped into one of her travel magazines. Later that afternoon, Sophia reached the banks of the Seine River. The water reflected the sunlight like liquid gold. Tour boats moved slowly beneath historic bridges. Couples walked hand in hand along the pathways. Sophia sat on a stone wall overlooking the river and watched the world pass by. For several minutes, she simply sat in silence. No work, no deadlines, no responsibilities, just Paris. She felt happier than she had felt in years. As evening approached, Sophia decided to visit the Eiffel Tower. She took the metro for the first time. Although she was nervous about getting lost, the system turned out to be surprisingly easy to navigate. When she emerged from the station, she stopped walking. There it was, the Eiffel Tower. Even after seeing thousands of photographs, nothing had prepared her for standing beneath it in person. The structure seemed enormous. Its iron framework stretched high into the sky. Tourists surrounded the area, taking pictures from every angle. Sophia joined them. She snapped dozens of photographs. Some serious, some silly, some selfies. She sent a few to her family back home. Her mother immediately replied, "It's beautiful. Be safe and have fun." Sophia smiled. She certainly intended to. When darkness fell, lights began sparkling across the tower. The crowd gasped in admiration. Sophia did too. The sight felt almost unreal. For a moment, she forgot every difficulty she had faced while saving for this trip. Every sacrifice suddenly seemed worthwhile. This was the moment she had imagined for years. Eventually, exhaustion caught up with her. She returned to the hotel late that night. Before going to bed, she carefully checked her travel pouch. Passport, cash, cards, everything was there. Satisfied, she placed the pouch beside her bed. Then she fell asleep almost immediately. The next morning, sunlight streamed through her window. Sophia woke up feeling refreshed and excited. Today's destination was one of the places she had been looking forward to most, the Louvre Museum. She dressed quickly and enjoyed breakfast at a nearby cafe. Afterward, she collected her travel pouch and headed toward the museum. The city seemed even more beautiful in the morning. Flower vendors arranged colorful bouquets. Workers hurried to offices. Tourists studied maps. The streets buzzed with energy. When Sophia finally arrived at the Louvre, she was amazed. The museum was enormous. Visitors filled the courtyard surrounding the famous glass pyramid entrance. People from all over the world stood in line together. Sophia joined them. After entering the museum, she spent hours exploring. Ancient statues, historic artifacts, magnificent paintings. Every room revealed something extraordinary. She admired works she had only seen in textbooks. She listened to audio guides. She read informational displays. She took careful photographs whenever allowed. Time seemed to disappear. Before she knew it, several hours had passed. By mid-afternoon, Sophia felt hungry. She left the museum and found a charming cafe on a nearby street. The outdoor seating area was crowded with locals and tourists. A waiter guided her to a small table. Sophia ordered a sandwich and coffee. As she ate, she reviewed the photographs on her phone. The day had been wonderful. Everything was going perfectly, or so she thought. After finishing her meal, she reached beneath her jacket for her travel pouch. Her hand touched nothing. Sophia frowned. She checked again. Still nothing. A strange feeling settled in her stomach. She looked around her chair. Nothing. She checked her handbag. Nothing. Her pulse began to quicken, slowly at first, then rapidly. She searched every pocket, every compartment, every zipper. Nothing. The pouch was gone, completely gone. Sophia froze. For a moment she could not think. Inside that pouch was her passport, her cash, her credit cards, everything. Her entire trip depended on it. No, she whispered. Her voice barely escaped her lips. No, no, no. She searched again, and again, and again. Each search became more frantic. People at nearby tables began noticing her distress. The waiter approached. "Madam, are you all right?" "My passport," Sophia said. "I can't find my passport." The waiter looked concerned. "When did you last see it?" "I don't know." Sophia's hands trembled. "I had it this morning." The reality of the situation suddenly hit her. She was alone in a foreign country, and her passport had vanished. A wave of panic surged through her body. The beautiful city she had admired only hours earlier suddenly felt unfamiliar and overwhelming. Sophia looked toward the busy streets of Paris. Thousands of people moved in every direction. Somewhere among them was the answer to what had happened. But at that moment, she had no idea where to begin looking. And deep inside, a terrible question echoed in her mind. Had her dream vacation just become a nightmare? End of chapter 1. Chapter 2. A city full of strangers. Sophia sat frozen at the cafe table. The sounds of Paris continued around her as if nothing had happened. People laughed. Waiters carried trays between tables. Cars rolled along the street. Tourists stopped to take photographs. But for Sophia, everything felt distant. Her heart was pounding so loudly that she could barely hear anything else. The waiter handed her a glass of water. "Take your time," he said gently. Sophia took a deep breath and tried to think clearly. Panicking would not help. She needed a plan. The first step was simple. Go back and retrace everything. Every step, every place, every moment. Maybe the pouch had slipped out somewhere. Maybe someone had found it. Maybe there was still hope. Sophia thanked the waiter and hurried toward the Louvre. As she walked, she mentally reviewed her day. She remembered leaving the hotel. She remembered riding the metro. She remembered standing in line outside the museum. She remembered visiting several galleries. But she could not remember the last time she had actually touched the pouch. That frightened her. The longer it had been missing, the harder it would be to find. When she arrived at the museum, she went directly to the information desk. A woman wearing a museum badge greeted her. "Can I help you?" Sophia explained the situation. The employee listened carefully. Then she shook her head. Nothing matching that description has been turned in today. Sophia felt her stomach sink. Could you check again, please? The woman kindly searched the system. After several minutes, she returned with the same answer. Nothing. No passport, no travel pouch, no report. Nothing. Sophia spent the next 2 hours searching every area she had visited. She walked through crowded galleries. She checked benches. She looked beneath chairs. She visited restrooms. She retraced her route from beginning to end. Several security guards tried to help. Unfortunately, none of them had seen the missing pouch. As the afternoon faded into evening, Sophia's optimism slowly disappeared. Outside the museum, she sat on a stone bench and stared at the ground. For the first time since arriving in Paris, she felt completely alone. Back home, she knew exactly what to do when problems appeared. She knew where things were. She knew who to call. She knew how systems worked. Here, everything felt unfamiliar. Even small tasks required extra effort. And now she had lost the most important document she owned. Her phone buzzed. A message from Rachel. How's Paris? Having fun? Sophia stared at the screen. For several seconds she considered pretending everything was fine. Instead, she told the truth. I lost my passport. The response came almost immediately. What? Are you okay? Sophia smiled sadly. At least someone cared. They exchanged messages for a few minutes. Rachel encouraged her to report the loss immediately. It was good advice. Sophia stood and began searching for the nearest police station. By the time she arrived, darkness had fallen across the city. The station was small but busy. Several officers were helping visitors at the front desk. When her turn came, Sophia explained everything. The officer listening to her appeared calm and professional. What color was the pouch? Black. What was inside? My passport, credit cards, cash, and some travel documents. The officer typed notes into a computer, then he nodded. We will create a report. Do you think someone stole it? Sophia asked. The officer shrugged slightly. It is possible. The answer made her feel worse. He continued. But it is also possible that someone found it and has not yet turned it in. Sophia wanted to believe him. Unfortunately, fear was becoming stronger than hope. After completing the report, she left the station and walked slowly back toward her hotel. Paris looked different tonight. Yesterday, the city had seemed magical. Now it felt enormous, complicated, unpredictable. The lights were still beautiful, the streets were still charming, but Sophia could no longer enjoy them. Her mind was focused on one thing, the missing passport. Back at the hotel, she sat on her bed, staring at the police report. She had planned every detail of her trip. Museum visits, boat tours, restaurants, historic landmarks. Yet she had never seriously imagined losing her passport. The possibility had seemed distant, something that happened to other travelers, not her. A knock interrupted her thoughts. It was the hotel receptionist, a friendly woman named Camille. I heard about your problem, she said. How? The police called to verify your hotel information. Sophia nodded. Camille stepped inside. Do you need any help? The simple question nearly made Sophia cry. After an exhausting day, kindness felt overwhelming. I don't know what to do next. Camille sat down. Tomorrow morning, call your country's embassy. Will they help? Yes, they can issue emergency documents if necessary. That information offered a small amount of comfort, a very small amount. That night, Sophia barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, questions filled her mind. What if the passport was never found? What if she couldn't return home? What if someone used her credit cards? What if she had to cancel the rest of her trip? Hours passed. Sleep came only in short, restless periods. The following morning, Sophia woke feeling exhausted. She immediately contacted her bank. Fortunately, she was able to freeze her credit cards. That solved one problem. Unfortunately, many others remained. Next, she called the embassy. The employee who answered was reassuring. They explained the process for obtaining an emergency travel document, However, the paperwork could take several days. Several days. Sophia's return flight was scheduled for the following week. Time suddenly felt precious. After finishing the call, she left the hotel. Remaining indoors would only increase her anxiety. Besides, there was still one thing she could do: keep searching. Sophia returned to the area around the Louvre. She visited every cafe she could remember, every shop, every bench, every street corner. Most people had not seen anything. Some offered sympathy, others simply shook their heads. By lunchtime, she had found nothing. Feeling discouraged, she entered a small bookstore near the museum. The store was quiet and filled with old wooden shelves. Sophia wasn't looking for books. She simply needed a moment to escape the stress. As she wandered through the aisles, she noticed a young man organizing a display near the front. When he saw her examining a map section, he smiled. "Looking for something?" "Honestly," Sophia said, "my passport." The young man laughed softly. Then he realized she was serious. "Oh," she briefly explained the situation. His expression changed immediately. "That's terrible. It has been a difficult couple of days." "My name is Daniel," he said. "Sophia." They shook hands. Daniel listened carefully as she described the missing pouch. When she mentioned the museum area, his eyes narrowed slightly. "Wait, what? I think I heard something yesterday." Sophia's heart jumped. "What do you mean?" "A customer mentioned finding a travel pouch near the river." For a moment, hope exploded inside her. "Really?" Daniel nodded. "I don't know if it's yours, but I remember hearing about it." Sophia leaned forward eagerly. "Do you know who found it?" Daniel shook his head. "No, the customer didn't say." Hope faded slightly. Still, it was the first useful information she had received. Daniel closed the book he was holding. "I finish work in an hour." Sophia looked confused. So I'll help you. You don't have to do that." He smiled. "I know, but you look like someone who could use a friend right now." For the first time in days, Sophia laughed. A real laugh, not a nervous one, not a forced one, a genuine laugh. An hour later, they began searching together. Daniel knew the neighborhood well. He spoke with cafe owners, shopkeepers, street vendors, anyone who might have heard about the missing pouch. Most conversations led nowhere, yet having someone beside her made a huge difference. The city no longer felt quite so overwhelming. As afternoon turned into evening, they reached the banks of the same place where Sophia had sat happily on her first day. Now she stood there with Daniel watching boats glide across the water. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Finally, Sophia sighed. "I think it's gone." Daniel looked toward the river. "Maybe." The answer surprised her. Most people would have offered false optimism, not Daniel. "But maybe not," he continued. "Sometimes people surprise you." Sophia followed his gaze across the water. The sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and gold. It was beautiful. Yet she could not fully appreciate it, not yet. Because somewhere in Paris, her passport and the future of her trip remained uncertain. And she had no idea that the next morning would bring news she never expected. End of Chapter 2. Chapter 3, The Call That Changed Everything. Sophia woke before sunrise. For a few seconds, she forgot about the passport. She stretched, looked around the hotel room and listened to the quiet sounds coming from the street below. Then reality returned. The missing passport, the police report, the embassy paperwork, the endless searching, the uncertainty. A heavy feeling settled in her chest. She sat up slowly and checked her phone. No messages, no missed calls, no updates, nothing. Another day had begun, and she still had no idea whether she would ever see her passport again. Outside, Paris was waking up. The sky was pale grey. Bakery workers were preparing fresh bread. Delivery trucks moved through narrow streets. Cafe owners arranged tables on sidewalks. Normally, Sophia would have enjoyed watching the city come alive. Today, however, her thoughts were elsewhere. She dressed quietly and headed downstairs. Camille, the hotel receptionist, greeted her with a sympathetic smile. Any news? Sophia shook her head. Not yet. I'm sorry. So am I. Camille handed her a cup of coffee. On the house. Sophia smiled. Thank you. The small act of kindness warmed her more than the coffee itself. After breakfast, Sophia reviewed the embassy documents she needed to complete. If the passport was not found soon, she would have to continue the process of obtaining emergency travel papers. The paperwork seemed endless. Photographs, identity verification, travel information, official forms. It was all necessary, but it felt exhausting. She stared at the documents spread across her bed. For a moment, she considered giving up on the rest of her vacation entirely. Maybe she should just solve the passport problem and return home. The dream trip she had spent years planning had become stressful and complicated. Nothing was going as expected. Her phone buzzed. A text message from Daniel. Good morning, any luck? Sophia replied immediately. No, still nothing. A few seconds later, another message appeared. Don't lose hope yet. She smiled despite herself. Daniel barely knew her, yet he had spent hours helping her search. The world often seemed full of bad news, but in the past few days she had met several kind strangers. Camille, the waiter, the police officer. Daniel, perhaps people were better than she sometimes assumed. At 10 o'clock, Sophia arrived at the embassy. The building was modern and busy. Travelers filled the waiting area. Some needed visas, others required official documents. Several people appeared just as worried as she felt. She took a number and waited. Minutes passed, then an hour. Eventually, her number appeared on a screen. She approached a service desk. The embassy employee reviewed her paperwork carefully. You've completed everything correctly, the woman said. Thank you. We can begin processing an emergency travel document, Sophia nodded. How long will it take? Several business days. Several days, again. The answer felt discouraging. The employee handed her additional forms. Sophia sat down at a nearby table and began filling them out. She had completed only half a page when her phone suddenly vibrated. Unknown number. She almost ignored it. Then she answered. Hello? Miss Sophia Carter? A male voice spoke. Yes. This is Officer Laurent from the police station. Sophia's heart instantly accelerated. Police stations rarely called with good news. For one terrifying second, she imagined the worst. Had someone used her identity? Had there been a problem with her report? Then the officer spoke again. Miss Carter, we may have located your passport. Everything stopped. The room, the noise, the conversations around her. All of it seemed to disappear. What? Her voice was barely a whisper. We have recovered a passport and travel pouch matching your description. Sophia stared into space, certain she had misunderstood. I'm sorry, she said. Could you repeat that? We found your passport. A huge wave of emotion crashed over her. Relief, shock, disbelief, hope, all at once. For several seconds, she could not speak. Tears filled her eyes. People nearby glanced in her direction. Sophia's everything inside? She finally asked. As far as we can tell, yes. Her hand covered her mouth. Oh my God. You can come to the station to verify the contents. I'll be there immediately. The officer laughed. We'll be waiting. The call ended. Sophia remained frozen. Then she suddenly jumped from her chair. The embassy employee looked surprised. They found it! They found what? My passport! A smile spread across the woman's face. That's wonderful. Sophia laughed, then cried, then laughed again. She wasn't sure which emotion to choose. Less than 20 minutes later, she arrived at the police station. Her heart pounded the entire journey. What if there had been a mistake? What if the passport belonged to someone else? What if something important was missing? Questions raced through her mind. The officer greeted her warmly. You must be Miss Carter. Yes. He led her into a small office. On the desk sat a familiar black travel pouch. Sophia stopped walking. For a moment, she simply stared. It looked exactly the same size, same shape, same worn zipper. After days of uncertainty, there it was, right in front of her. Please check the contents, the officer said. Her hands trembled slightly as she opened the pouch. Passport, cash, credit cards, travel insurance papers, everything, absolutely everything. Nothing was missing. Sophia could hardly believe it. "It's all here," the officer nodded. "A local shop owner found it beneath a bench near the Seine River." "The river?" "Yes. He noticed identification documents and brought it directly to us." Sophia shook her head in amazement. Someone had found it and returned it without taking anything. "Can I thank him?" the officer smiled. "He did not leave contact information." Sophia looked disappointed. "I wish I could tell him how grateful I am." "I'm sure he would be happy knowing he helped." She nodded. Perhaps that was true. After signing several forms, Sophia officially received her belongings. When she stepped outside the station, she felt lighter than she had in days. The city looked different. Not because Paris had changed, because she had. The fear that had followed her since losing the passport was finally gone. She could breathe again. Her first call was to her mother. The moment her mother answered, Sophia blurted out the news. "They found it! What, my passport? Oh, Sophia!" Her mother sounded just as relieved as she was. "I was so worried." "I know. I'm okay now, thank goodness." They talked for nearly 20 minutes. When the call ended, Sophia felt happier than she had felt since arriving in France. Next, she messaged Daniel. "Found it!" The response arrived almost instantly. "Seriously?" "Yes! Meet me at Café Bellevue at 6? "Absolutely." For the first time in days, Sophia spent the afternoon enjoying Paris again. She walked through gardens, visited bookstores, photographed historic buildings. Everything seemed brighter, more beautiful. The city no longer felt like a maze of problems. It felt like an adventure again. At 6 o'clock, she arrived at Café Bellevue. Daniel was already there. The moment he saw her, he stood up. "That smile tells me everything." Sophia laughed. "They found it." Daniel grinned. "I knew there was still a chance." "You were right." They ordered coffee and pastries. Then Sophia told him the entire story. The police call, the recovered pouch, the honest shop owner, every detail. As evening settled over Paris, the cafe became crowded. Streetlights illuminated the sidewalks. Music drifted through open windows. Sophia leaned back in her chails. For the first time since arriving, she felt completely relaxed. "You know," Daniel said, "most people remember the problems that happened during trips." Sophia smiled. "I definitely won't forget this one. But years from now, you'll tell this story differently." "What do you mean?" "You won't remember the stress as much. You'll remember the people who helped." Sophia thought about his words. The waiter, Camille, the police officer, the embassy staff, Daniel, the unknown shop owner. A city full of strangers had helped her when she needed it most. "You know something?" Sophia said. "What?" "When I lost the passport, I thought my trip was ruined." Daniel nodded. "Reasonable. But now I think this experience taught me something important." "What?" Sophia looked around the cafe, at the conversations, the laughter, the people from different countries sharing the same space. Then she smiled. "The world is full of good people." Daniel raised his coffee cup. "That's a lesson worth learning." Sophia lifted hers as well. They clinked their cups together. Outside, the lights of Paris sparkled in the night. Her dream vacation had not gone according to plan. In many ways, it had been far more difficult than she expected. Yet somehow, it had also become far more meaningful. Because sometimes the best travel stories are not about famous landmarks or perfect photographs. Sometimes they're about unexpected challenges, acts of kindness, and the strangers who become part of your journey. And Sophia knew one thing for certain. She would never forget Paris, the end.